Well, I would just observe for the record that the phrase white people be cray-cray is itself cray-cray. And I will now recognize the gentleman from California.
And also racist, of course. I was wondering how long it would take the Democrats to play the race card, and I want to thank my colleague from California for satisfying that curiosity. I think we can thank the Democrats under Joe Biden for bringing this issue to the forefront. The mass illegal migration over the last 4 years has made answering this question a necessity. Have those who've illegally entered our country in defiance of our laws and who are subject to deportation under those laws, can they be considered as having accepted the jurisdiction of the laws that their very presence defies? I don't think it does. I mean, we know that phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, we know that means former slaves are citizens. That was the stated purpose of the amendment. That's the plain language of the amendment, passed, by the way, over the objections of the Democratic Party at the time. We know from the congressional debate that its authors understood its meaning to exclude foreign nationals who were merely passing through the country, but somewhere along the way, it simply seems to have become assumed. So my first question, I guess I'll begin with you, Mr. O'Brien. Have any laws been passed that specifically provide for birthright citizenship for illegal migrants?
No, there have been none. And one of the reasons that this interpretation persists is because this wasn't an issue at the time that the case was decided, so it was left alone.
Well, how did it come to be that it was simply assumed?
Nobody knows that. When I was at FAIR, we did an extensive research project where we spent hours trying to find this. And we couldn't find any commentary on the Wong Kim Ark decision discussing the import. We couldn't find any government directives indicating that this was the rule. It just appears to have started happening in the mid-1920s.
Mr. McCotter, can you offer any light on this subject?
I think that's probably right. I think that's probably practicality. People weren't really paying attention, perhaps, and that's how we ended up with this kind of
So no act of
assumption.
Congress, no Supreme Court decision, obviously no executive order until a few weeks ago, touching on this subject.
Mr. McClintock,
Mr.
if I may just jump in here, I think the unfortunate reality is that the Wong Kim Ark case was misinterpreted in much of the way I think that my friend Professor Frost here misinterprets it to have been a holding, some of the very broad language that is clearly dicta, instead of the narrow and specifically identified holding, which was quite limited to people who are in this country who bear children in this country, who have a permanent, lawful residence in this country, at least,
And it just kind of simmered
to establish allegiance.
It just kind of simmered in the background until we had this mass historic illegal migration, and now we have to confront it. You know, the chairman says the issue belongs to Congress, and I'd say, well, sort of. Obviously, Congress can't deny automatic birthright citizenship by statute if that's what the 14th Amendment guarantees. But of course, neither could an executive order. I think Congress would have to propose a constitutional amendment to the states if that's what the 14th Amendment actually means. But if the 14th Amendment does not provide automatic birthright citizenship, and no statutes have been passed, and no other Supreme Court orders issued, it seems to me that no law would be needed to deny it. It was never extended in the first place. Is that, Mr. O'Brien, is that essentially correct?
Yes, that is correct. The question that Wong Kim Ark has been interpreted as addressing was never the question that was before the court. The case came before the court in order to determine whether Wong Kim Ark was an individual who fell into one of either the privileged or prohibited classes under the Chinese Exclusion Act, which itself was a modification of a treaty of trade and friendship between China and the United States.
They were here permanently within the laws, within the jurisdiction of the United States by act of a ratified treaty.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So if that's the case, and wouldn't the president's executive order simply be restating existing law?
I believe that's exactly what it does.
Mr. McCotter?
That's what my amicus brief on behalf of members of this committee says, sir.
Mr. Cooper?
I agree with that, Congressman McClintock.
I will just assume Professor Frost disagrees. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman from California.